Well, this week we saw a $1.5 trillion AI big tech sell off. And the big question on everybody's mind is should we have bought that dip that we opened up to this morning? Was this the reversal moment for it all? I mean, NVIDIA had a pretty nice day moving up. The SPY has gone up all day long. Should we have bought this dip? Well, let me just tell you, we want to follow the charts and we want to follow the smart money. And the big question is, did they buy the dip? And the answer is no. And you say, well, how do you know, Josh? It's not that complicated. It's in the charts. It's the volume. The volume actually was, we had a huge red volume node on the week, which means that the market sold off all week. And even though we bounced a little bit here on Friday, the fact is the market has yet to signal that it's go time, that everybody's got confidence that this thing is going to continue to march forward. Now, what catalyst do we have ahead? Well, it's kind of the same old story. We're going to get a check-in on the AI story, which we're going to get with NVIDIA's earnings coming up here really soon. And that could be even more damaging to the current markets if for some reason they do anything wrong, if it's slightly below expectations, if they don't have expanding and accelerating profit margins and giving even higher guidance moving forward, because they could do everything right, but the way Wall Street works is they got to be doing even better tomorrow to justify the high valuation of the stock prices. If the stock price is going to continue to go up, it means expectations has to lead the way. And the expectations are very high. So we've got that NVIDIA catalyst ahead, and we're going to see how that plays out here very, very soon. But then after that, it's going to be all about the Fed and what type of rate cut that he gives. And the market from the beginning of last week till today went from having a 70% expectation of a rate cut in December to only a 50% expectation of a rate cut in December. So right now, they're not optimistic about the Fed easing on these markets and giving the economy the fuel that it needs to continue to accelerate. And so the market is taking profits. Now, I last talked with you guys about Tesla and predicted that we were not going to have an update today on Tesla, that we were going to have to go down a little more, and that we were going to ultimately test 390. And we did that. Matter of fact, we shot straight through 390, but lo and behold, just like I said, it doesn't matter if we wick below. What matters is where we close. And we closed in the safe zone. So I'm going to give you guys my updated thoughts on Tesla. I promised you some analysis on Apple. I'm going to give that to you. And I'm going to give you my top big tech pick for today and next Monday. Now, that is in the context. There's no guarantee that it's going higher next week, but out of all of the MAG7 stocks that I studied today, I'm going to give you the PSMV score on all of them. What is that? That's price, structure, momentum, and volume. And I've broken it down to an easy score, and I'm going to tell you which one I think is the most favorable. It doesn't necessarily mean which one has the highest PSMV score, but which one has the strongest move that's potentially going to continue in the next couple of weeks. I think it will surprise you. Welcome to Wall Street. This is the Stocks with Josh show. Thank you for watching. Thank you for taking a moment and dropping a heart and say hi in the comments. I hope all of you guys have a wonderful weekend. It's a restful weekend. We get a couple of days off from staring at these red candles and these red charts. But truthfully, I didn't mind. We made a ton of money shorting and buying puts and taking the A-plus trade setups that I provide half an hour every morning in my pro trading community called ChartGoat University, the Stocks with Josh fam. I live traded today. Now, I talked about this yesterday and I talked about it Wednesday that I was going to live trade again Friday, and we absolutely crushed it. We caught two big plays. We caught a SPY play for 40%, and then after we had that trade, that's a nice percentage point, getting a nice fat 40% on a trade. Right after we got that one, we stayed on. I charted for about another 20, 30 minutes, called out another call to the upside on the SPY. And, I actually thought this would be just a little icing on the cake for the day, but that bad boy ran and ran. And I just said, guys, I'm letting this thing cook. I took profits, but I held a little bit. On the little bit that I held, that ultimately went up over 100%. Each of those call options appraising in value $300. So each one was a fat little paycheck. Now, that can go a long way. And I talk about it all the time. I cannot guarantee that we will win again. I don't know what tomorrow will hold, but we won nicely, and not just once, a number of times in the Stocks with Josh live trading sessions. And what I'm hearing more and more from everybody is they're starting to understand the value of these A-plus scalp setups that I provide every single morning. I provide them on the SPY, Tesla, or NVIDIA, or anything that's big tech with high liquidity. I just want to read a couple comments from you, some testimonials on some folks that are learning how they work and working them to make a profit. Let's check these out. From Parav Patel, Chart Goat, Babe Ruth calling them out, hitting them out of the park. 85% held them the whole time. Miles Leslie, I can't trade without the GOAT scalp. I use it for my level and it works well for me. $1,200 profit today from SPY and NVIDIA. Jacob Simpson got into this group 3 months ago because of my cousin. 70% win rate since September on scalps. Appreciate you all. Now time to go buy some houses. Guys, this is absolutely life-changing. I'm not telling you it's easy. I'm just telling you it's possible. Matter of fact, in my opinion, it's kind of hard, but that's why I use the word you got to discipline yourself, but it's doable for everybody. There's nobody that this is beyond their reach or nobody that can't do this, but it does take putting in some time. If you're not ready to live trade, that's okay. You can come join the Stocks with Josh Discord and just simply do the university part. We've got now 5 teaching sessions throughout the week that you can benefit from. It's the name of the show. Search www.stockswithjosh.com. Come check it out. All right, I want to do a quick recap on what actually happened today. Even though we saw a little bit of green, I don't know that it should be enough to put us at ease, and it's not enough to allow the bulls to sleep peacefully at night. So here's what happened. The S&P was slightly up around 0.2%. As I said before, it right now looks like a classic dead cat bounce unless we get some huge volume follow through next week. This week, the volume was really still in the camp of the bears, confirming bearishness. The NASDAQ was up a bit more, roughly 0.3 to 0.4, but without institutional volume being reflected in the MAG7 charts, the big question is, even though the NASDAQ came up, was that just another draw on the hopium pipe in belief of the eternal AI rally? Can't say just yet. We'll see next week. The Dow actually was in the red, down around 0.4%, telling you that the old school blue chip stocks did not join the party. And then VIX. This is also one of the most important gauges that you want to look at in times like this. You want to look at volume and VIX. Volume tells you who's buying and the VIX tells you who's winning. What did the VIX say today? Well, we're still in fear. We're still in an elevated fear environment. And basically, the bulls and the bears are fighting it out in real time. Now, I'm going to go through the PSMV score for all of the Magnificent Seven. And then in the end, I'm going to tell you which one I like the most moving into the next couple weeks. It's never a reason to buy, sell, or hold anything. You've got to do your own due diligence. This is just how I view the charts. Okay, let's start things off with the overall bullishness to overall bearishness. The number one place for being bullish on the chart belongs to Apple. We talked about it yesterday that they were going up when everything else was going down. And the most important price point to watch there is $280. Now, we've hit a little bit of a threshold of resistance. It's been vacillating in a very tight range up at the top, showing still some strength. The overall weekly candle that we got is referred to as a compression candle, which simply means it's small and it's not expanding, which means price is not moving higher quickly right now. But if it gets above 280, especially if the rest of the market begins to melt up and things do well with NVIDIA's earnings, then Apple may finally hit $300. The first target is going to be 288 to 295. Now we always want to keep a sober view of the charts because we don't know what's going to happen next week. Alternatively, if it can't hold 260 next week, well, then the up story is done for now. Now, the number 2 overall bullish stock out of the MAG7 is going to be Google. They've got a PSMV rating of 8 out of 10, which means that it's hot. It's been hot. And remember, if it gets to 8.5, that's when it begins to go into the danger zone of seeing a reversal from moving up to beginning to pull back. And so right now, Google is still in second place. Apple is beating it, and the score is hot, which means it's in a continued bullish uptrend still with no sign of breaking down just yet. And then number 3, shockingly, and I know it's hard to understand why Tesla would have such a high PSMV score and be in the number 3 spot of big tech for bullishness. But if you really take a step back and you look at that global chart from 2024, we are still clearly on a week over week uptrend. This is actually a very shallow pullback on a clearly defined uptrend. And so don't get too bearish, and don't try to guess when a stock's going to roll over, because you might find that it's not rolling over, and that if you took a step back and looked at the big picture view, this was actually a buying opportunity. And since we did not close beneath 390, we held up very well. As long as we go into Monday and Tuesday of next week holding above 400, I'm going to get increasingly bullish on Tesla. And then number 4 is NVIDIA. Now, obviously, the earnings ahead is going to have a huge impact on the market as well as the price action on NVIDIA, but it's got a PSMV score of a 6 out of 10. And that is very close to falling out of bullishness and going into neutrality, because obviously it has been cooling off quite a bit. And we're seeing that in the momentum indicators, in the volume, in loss of structure, and loss of progressing price action. So right now I'm calling NVIDIA neutral. And then Amazon. Amazon is not doing much better than NVIDIA. It's in the neutral chop zone. We had a nice spike up. We have recovering momentum, but it's still under resistance. And until it gets above that resistance, it's in the chop, unfortunately. And then we've got Microsoft. This is where we enter into the bear story. This is a 5 out of 10. It's also in a neutral chop. It's pulled back under recent highs, and it's got negative momentum. And so right now, it's still on watch. We're still in danger to a move to the downside. We're watching for that volume to surge, and I'll let you know when it does come in. Microsoft didn't have a very bad day today. It had a little bit of relief. We got to see and watch for continuation to see if next week it moves out of neutral and back into bullishness. That would be great for Microsoft. Netflix is not looking good. And I've been warning about Netflix at the same time telling you it's one of the most interesting stocks to go long on as soon as a few things change. As long as we get some reversal, and I've told you that we've got to get a 2x volume. Specifically, I would love it for a hit off of 1050. So I'm looking for one more capitulation moment for Netflix, and then I would love to go long. But this is one that I think should be on everybody's radar because it's much more attractive than Apple, that might get from 280 to 300, which would be great. But Netflix has pulled back quite a bit, and if it went from 1050 to 1500, of course, we know the stock splits ahead, then it could easily run from 100 back to 150. This would be great. So keep an eye on Netflix. I'm watching for a reversal there very soon. And then at the bottom of the list, used to be fighting for that AI King #1 spot, but not so much right now. Meta, I've warned about it. The last time we had a little bit of a bounce up, I said we failed to get over the trigger to prove that we could go higher, and that Meta was actually running bearish. We've come back and retested the lows as I predicted. And I would say right now, it's unfortunately at the bottom of my MAG7 list, but that does put it in a situation that if the volume kicks up, we get one more test to the downside and the volume kicks up, this could also, like Netflix, be turning into a more highly favorable risk to reward story. So I'd love to hear your opinion. What is your favorite MAG7 stock right now? I gave you guys my view of how all of them broke down from most bullish to most bearish. And I'd love to hear what you guys bought today. But let me just end this video with letting you know my top 3 MAG7 stocks right now based on all my analysis, taking everything into consideration. Drum roll, is it going to be Apple? Because right now they're at the top of the list. So you want to hold your winners longer. And I do like Apple right now. I do believe that we have beautiful potential for a continuation here, especially if NVIDIA comes out and impresses the market. But no, it's actually Tesla. And it's not because I love the company. Some of you might accuse me of that. I do like the company. I do like the vision and what they've got rolling out. And I think they're positioned extremely well for the future. But purely from a technical perspective, the overall charts are still bullish. We've had a shallow pullback, and we could continue much higher from here. So Tesla's my #1 pick for big tech right now. After doing all my analysis today, that's where I stand. I'd love to hear where you guys stand. I will throw out #2 and #3 for you guys real quick. #2 pick is going to be Amazon. #3 pick is going to be NVIDIA. What are your favorite stocks? Let me know. And let me just end this video by saying this. I do believe that the markets are going to recover. I don't expect a full-blown hard rollover down into recession moment, even though a lot of people begin to get fearful of that type of thing and they're afraid to take risk. I think we're going to do okay. We've got NVIDIA's earnings, but most importantly, we're going to have Q4 earnings. As I've been saying, we don't have enough data to justify a huge sell-off right now. We're simply correcting. It was a correction that we needed. It might run a little bit deeper for big tech Why? Because big tech ran a little harder for most of the summer, and it should have corrected a couple times and it didn't. So we might have a little bit of a harder correction, but that AI rally is going to continue into Q4. Going to ultimately get a bigger test then by Wall Street, determining whether or not they should continue to believe in and invest in the AI story. But we're going to get a reality check with NVIDIA's earnings this next week. Let me know what you guys think. Peace and blessings, my friends. I'll see you in the next video.